Welcome to the Glorious Botafogo. It's a special edition where we're going to react to the Artur Jorge press conference starting right now. Big old smile for Artur Jorge there at the press conference. Now it's the entire team from Artur Jorge, all of his co-workers during this time that he brought with him to Botafogo. That's Alessandro Brito. He took over Mazuco for now until Botafogo finds a new director of football. So he's been representing John Textor today. So I'm guessing John Textor's not going to be there. I like that little brooch that he's got right here. So Brito's talking about how Artur Jorge is going to help him develop the Botafogo way, which is something Textor's been talking over and over and over again. There you go. Nice close in. Nice close up. So he's extremely satisfied and excited to be here, determined that this will be a successful journey. And he's talking specifically to the supporters, saying that it was one of the reasons where he came, that he hopes that he can count on us so this could be a successful project. He's talking to the press, explaining how he acts. He says that it needs to be a relationship of respect, him as a manager and them as communicators, so they can be transparent with each other. So basically, he's just giving them a heads up. If you're going to be nice to me, I'll be nice to you. If you're not going to be nice to me, I won't be nice to you, basically what he said. Vitor Camacho from Botafogo TV asking his first impressions. It's been very intense. It's been gratifying. It's a project that got started before he got here this year. So in terms of history and tradition, there's no questions of the magnitude of Botafogo. But he also knows that, he says that he knows about Botafoguenses being chosen. He felt like he was chosen. He watched the game live, and he saw the atmosphere at the stadium led him to believe that they can have success this season. He was loving the city. He's been hearing about it since he was a kid. He's working on getting adjusted to, everything that involves being in Brazil. He's had a good experience so far with the city and the players. So basically, Fabiano asked him, he explained, he sort of did an analysis of what he did versus Real Madrid. Real Madrid scored, and then right away upon kickoff, Braga kept the ball, kept working it down the field until they scored, which is something he says that Fabiano very astutely brought it up, that Botafogo really doesn't do that right now. And I think Artur Jorge was kind of smiling. He was maybe impressed that Fabiano was able to break that down. But he was asking if that is something that he intends on doing here at Botafogo, that style of play. So basically, it's in the context of the players that he's got, and in the context of how this team likes to play, to implement the ideas that him and his the group of professionals that are here with him, that they want to implement with these players to develop an identity that's going to be characteristic of Botafogo. So what about Botafogo's project to convince him to leave his country, to leave a team that he's been part of a long time, a team that's played the Champions League and maybe will play the Champions League again. So what led him to come to Botafogo? What led him to come to Brazil? Was the question. Look at that smile. It was very easy from the first talk that he had with John Textor about the possibility of what he could do if he had any sort of interest. It was easy because he knew Botafogo about, ever since he was little, from the time that he was little, he hears about certain clubs, and he's saying that he's been hearing about Botafogo ever since he was a little boy. Also because it's a club that is in need to reinvent itself. It's a club that is in need to be something else right now at this time. That's basically what he's saying. To make a competitive club that the supporters want to see. So he feels like it's a challenge that is also good to him. So he accepted it with a lot of conviction. The conviction that he's also going to, basically he had so much conviction that this could be a good challenge for both parts that led him to ask to be relieved of his duties at the project that he was in right now. He's talking about Botafogo being able to fight for every title, coming back to the Libertadores after 7 years. But there's conditions. There are conditions that the club is in all of the competitions, and also specifically talking about the country in Brazil. He's got a lot of ambition. So bring his experience and his teachings, so to help those that are here at Botafogo. So basically, he's talking about it's a combination of, the club being, it's that the dimensions of the club outside of the country. He's always heard about Rio, always heard about certain clubs, and within these certain clubs is Botafogo. It's the fact that the club is back to Libertadores. The club is going to be, fighting in all competitions, trying to win all competitions, for the project that is here, for the project that is certain mid to long term project that Botafogo has. Was one of the reasons why he left. So he hopes that he can bring his experience. He hopes that he can bring all of the teachings that he's got to show the players alongside his team of trainers, and hopefully implement something that will be successful here at Botafogo. So this question was, what did he come to Brazil to achieve? What is his achievement here? So he kind of warned him he's going to be a little bit more reserved about this specific answer, about the specific question, should I say. He's talking about emotional control to contain expectations. So it'd be easier for him to talk about things that, everybody wants to hear. For example, winning. Oh yeah, I'm coming over here to win all the titles. I'm going to win everything. So he wants to contain that for now. He wants to be very cautious when speaking about that. We have a long journey ahead. We needed to create an identity, strong identity, a team that has capacity to read the game, capacity to basically to play whatever situations is put ahead of the team. He needs to be able to build that first. Control expectations so we can know that the journey is long. There's a lot of matches ahead. Lots of things will happen. We will have some time to work, which is not a lot, but gradually get to the place where we want to be. We have high expectations, but we will always be courageous, determined, play to win wherever and whenever. Hey, Veras. He's asking, how is the transition with Fabio Matias so far? So Veras is bringing up how his transition with Fabio Matias has been. He said that Botafogo was not able to qualify for the state finals, but we was able to qualify for the Libertadores. So how is his first contact with Fabio Matias? To be very clear, with Fabio, it's been a recovery project. So with Fabio, basically, he said it was always known that it was going to be a transitional work, basically to recuperate, just to recover the players' confidence, basically, and that was always known. At this time, we came to be an addition. What's most important is Botafogo. Things are being done very transparent, very clear. Fabio's going to be part of his team. He's going to bring helpful information. Above all, know the personality of the players, but make sure that he also feels useful. But move to a different position of less visibility, but be part of the team. But with a very clear objective is to help us get Botafogo to be stronger. But that was a project that the club had. It's nothing new to him. But everything so far has been great with Fabio. From now on, we're going to talk about what the Botafogo of Artur Jorge will be. Basically, he said that the period of Fabio Matias is over, that Fabio knew what his role was, but he also knows that, Fabio's transitioning. He's a permanent member of Botafogo. So whatever coach comes in, whatever coach leaves, Fabio is always going to be a Botafogo, to be that immediate guy to take over what's being done while John Textor looks for a new coach. Fabio Matias got his contract renewed until 2028. So if you watched a couple of videos before, I said, what does the future look like for Fabio Matias? And Fabio Matias made it very clear. Fabio Matias turned down an offer from Cuiabá to be the head coach for a Serie A team. He turned that down to be a Botafogo. So got his contract renewed from 2025 to 2028. So Fabio Matias got 4 more years at the club. And if he wants to leave and somebody else wants to come in and take him from Botafogo, they're going to have to pay a fee. So nothing but gratitude to Fabio Matias. We saw the difference of leadership we're going to need to have in these Libertadores competitions. But hopefully, with Artur Jorge, Fábio Matias can gain a lot from his relationship with Artur, so he can become better prepared for maybe one day, if he chooses to. And I hope that Artur Jorge is here for a long time, just like Abel Ferreira is at Palmeiras. But something happens, Artur Jorge needs to leave. I hope that Fábio Matias is ready to take over and become the head manager. So, but that's later on. So the question was about the players that are currently at Botafogo. And Alain Viana said, he mentioned the names of Chiquinho Soares, Bastos, Jafinho, Luis Henrique, and then Artur Jorge said here Marçal, so he knows the players. So basically, what do you know about these players that were playing in European soil not too long ago, and how much can they add to the team? So he knows the players, the squad, but he said it's a large squad. Basically, he said that there's a lot of players, more than what he sees as necessary to work for the season. So it's very similar to what Luis Castro said when he got here. There's a lot of players. So maybe we will see some of these players go. Maybe, well, I don't know. We'll see. He said that he knows how Brazilian football works. He's always been a consumer of Brazilian football. So he knows some of these players that are here already that played in Brazil. But he also knows the players, obviously, because they were so much closer. Some of these players played in Portugal, for example. So he has an understanding, but the goal is always to understand more. Emotional, social, and how they are. So yeah, basically, he needs to know a little bit more about the emotional states, the competitiveness of these players, and how committed they are to the project. But he said he's very satisfied so far with what he's seen here. That's good to know. He said the players committed. This will be a successful season. So the question that she asked was, the offensive end, quote unquote, and she said, I'm gonna put quotes on it. It's gonna be easier to adjust because on paper, and I have a video of Artur Jorge and how he likes to play. On paper, Botafogo has players that will just easily kind of fall into place and how Artur Jorge likes to play. We have the players with the characteristics that Artur Jorge likes on the offensive end. That is already done. But lately, Botafogo has been very unstable on defense. So she's asking, what is your plan to adjust the defensive end of Botafogo to ensure that it becomes more stable? And then the second question that she asked was basically, how does coming to Brazil, it's his first job outside of Portugal, how does his wants and needs and expectations align with the expectations of the Botafogo now that it's a SAF, which is just another fancy name that Botafogo has an owner? How does that align? How all of the expectations, personal expectations, professional expectations align with Botafogo's project? So basically what he said is it's the project, is the ambition, is the possibility that gives him to get out of his comfort zone. It's the possibility that it's going to give him a stability and basically be a long-term project. I don't think Artur Jorge is coming over here thinking this is going to be a 1 to 2 season spell. I think he's really looking at this in the long term. I really honestly do. I don't think Artur Jorge has plans to go anywhere, to be quite honest with you. So now he's going to address the first question. So in regards to the defensive end and how to correct that, if you want to say it that way, he said that the team starts at the goalie and it ends at the striker. So it needs to be balanced. It can't depend on just on one side, just on the offensive end to make the game happen, because the defensive end needs to be just as helpful. He said that in his training sessions, he had a talk with the keepers, with the center backs, with the fullbacks about this. So it's good that he's addressing these players by groups. I think it's very helpful. But he said, they're working against the clock. They don't have a lot of time to practice. They don't have a lot of time to make sure that the players can assimilate the ideas. So it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. I hope I'm wrong, but I think it's going to be a rough start. So he said he trusts the players that he's got. He likes the players that he's got. Of course, he's not gonna say the opposite on live on Botafogo TV. But I'm sure that he's gonna have some input on what players will be coming in the months to come. So what players Botafogo will be signing in the months to come. But we'll see. The guy that asked the question brought to his attention that in Brazil, sometimes, Botafogo specifically, they had 4 managers that stayed very... they didn't have a lot of time to work, right? Because in Brazil, the pressure for results, especially positive results, is very high. And that, if there's not a quick show of results, then the manager quickly discarded. So what does it basically think about that? Because what does he think about that, and what does he feel? What does he see as a positive? What does he see as a positive that he can? What can he see as positive in regards to the match on Thursday? And what can he see as something that worries him about Thursday, which will be the match against Liga de Quito. So basically he said that, he talked about managing expectations. He talked about, basically he's comfortable in his methods. He's comfortable in his work, but that's not guaranteed that he's going to come over here right away and Botafogo is going to go 30 games unbeaten. That's not what he said. That's what I'm saying. But the positive is the players that he's got in the squad. The positives is that he has players that are committed and they're ready to win and ready to turn this around. So not always going to achieve the results that they wanted, but not to let that get in the way of what they want. Yeah. So basically, not to have that get in the way of what the club wants long term, the performance, the results. So the players, the coach, and the supporters can all be aligned in the outcome, in the long-term outcome, which is to make Botafogo a successful team. So she asked about, in Brazil, there's been lately, Portuguese managers have had a lot of success. She spoke about Jorge Jesus in Flamengo. She spoke about Abel Ferreira in Portugal, in Palmeiras. And she asked if he knew them, if he's got any sort of friendship with them, if he asked them anything, and if their success serves as inspiration for him to come over here and work. And said that he's friends with Luis Castro. He's friends with Abel. He was actually, him and Abel were in the same club, which is Braga. So yeah, it does serve as inspiration to him, which is makes sense. So he didn't speak with them directly so far, but he knows of what they've done. They've talked about it before, even before he had got here, because of their friendship. Yeah. Gilmar Machado asked, so Gilmar started the question saying that, this is the 3rd year of this project, Botafogo SAF. He talked about, making this project victorious, making this project successful to leave a mark at Botafogo. But along these 3 seasons, he's a 7th coach, 3rd Portuguese. He said that, we are left wondering, what is this project? What kind of project this is? And if he could share what was said to him about this project, and most importantly, what your work will add to this. Projects rely on results, which is win. But my life philosophy, an ambition to have teams that are courageous, to fight to win, so we could have those results. But the truth is, it's a project to basically restructure the club. In these 3 seasons, Botafogo played in the Serie B, and just look what was done in the first half of the last season, and just add consistency, the possibility that they could at least courage to have a competitive team. Determined of the objective is to add value, not just him and his team, but it's the squad, the players. But there's a lot of people that work here, people that love this club and confident on what they do. What that is with the project is the people that make the difference. I've been talking to the group internally, that the staff that works there, the training grounds. It's all these people that help. And I'm convinced that this could be a successful project. It's people that can give the best of themselves and that love this project. So the question was, what can the supporters expect of his teams? Which I think is kind of redundant because he already spoke about that many, many times. To be courageous, blah, 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 etc. And if you had any sort of experience in working in the altitude, because Botafogo is going to go to Ecuador and play in the altitude. So he said that in Europe, to play a Champions League game, they traveled 6 hours by plane and they thought it was a lot. But now here in Brazil, they're going to have to go to Ecuador. It's going to be an 11-hour trip. So it basically is they're going to have to have a readjustment. That's funny. 6 hours and they thought it was a lot. Yeah. Good luck, buddy. They don't have that in Europe, the altitude in Europe. So there's a readaptation. Thiago Lopez, which is in his team, that's his responsibility to minimize the impact of the altitude. The only way to be prepared is to live there and train there. But we're gonna try to put in the work to minimize these challenges, but to be ready. And the supporters can expect a team to be competitive and courageous and this and that. He already spoke about this. Now, Artur Jorge is going to go to Botafogo TV and speak there. Let's see. There it is. It's a good thing about waiting like that is I can just skip right ahead.